Live from New York, this is the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey, and as always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. How you doing on this Friday fun day? Happy Friday to you.
I'm happy it's Friday.
All right, let's get right into the show because this week there was a lot of developing news, and we'll get into, I guess you would consider it a bombshell report that came out by The Athletic today about Russell Wilson. But let's get into our first topic. We're talking about Lamar Jackson, and we've talked about Lamar Jackson sometimes at lengths over the course of this show, and especially during the regular season about his contract because there was some new reports coming out about his contract, about what he actually is looking for, and ESPN has done its due diligence on reporting about this Lamar Jackson contract. Supposedly, according to reports by ESPN, Lamar is not signing any deal that is not fully guaranteed. And the Ravens made an offer right before the season started of $250 million, with $133 million of that fully guaranteed. And Lamar, and there were reports coming out throughout the year about rumors about what Lamar would want because he stopped discussion as soon as the regular season picked up, and he said he's going to talk about it during the offseason. The report was the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson were $100 million difference between what the Ravens were looking at and what Lamar Jackson wanted.
On the guarantee.
On the guaranteed money, because that's the important part here. So I'm going to ask you, do you think, based on the way these contract negotiations have gone and the trend that it looks like they will continue to be, do you think Lamar has played his last snap as a Baltimore Raven?
I don't think so. Because I think they'll franchise tag him. And he'll be unhappy. And that's the thing. He'll probably request a trade at that point. And they may, I don't know, why would they, if they're going to make him very unhappy, why would they keep him? So they're going to do everything they can to keep him without giving him that guarantee, because that guarantee for somebody like him who's been hurt twice now, both years, he got hurt last year and this year, right?
Yeah.
And the way he plays, he puts himself in harm's way quite a bit. So I think that that's weighing on the Ravens' mind in terms of a guarantee, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
However, I understand where he's coming from, right? You look at Deshaun Watson's career stats and compare them to Lamar Jackson. I mean, Lamar Jackson's quarterback rating, 96.7 for his career. And I have Deshaun Watson at 79.1, but that can't be right. It's got to be higher than that because he had 1 year. It was 112. He's had a 98, a 103, a 103, and a 79.7 this past stinker year when he came in late in Cleveland. He played very poorly.
His career passer, what'd you say, 79.1? Yeah. That was this season. His career is 102.3.
102.3. So he's a little higher than, but his rushing yards are 1,800. Lamar has 4,437 rushing yards.
Yeah.
Huh? And not shabby on his passing either. 63.7%, 101 TDs, only 38 interceptions. That's pretty good. Very good. So I think I can understand why Lamar's hanging in there for the big money.
Right.
You look at Kyler Murray. He got 5 years, $230 million, 160 guaranteed.
190 in full guarantees, including everything.
Okay. So, and his career stats, he's played 4 years, 66.8% completion, 13,848 yards, 84 TDs, 41 interceptions, 92.5 quarterback rating. Not as good as Lamar, but a couple of years less experience. And he's got 190 million guaranteed. I mean, the Ravens weren't close.
No.
They weren't close on that. And Lamar's better than Murray, I think. And I think he's better than Deshaun Watson.
I would also agree with you.
He's got his character part. The character part of it is Deshaun is a character.
Right. Yeah. I would say that.
I think Lamar should hang in there, see what happens. He can definitely do better than that deal that they offered him the first time.
Right.
Should get a lot more guaranteed money. Whether he can get fully guaranteed or not, over $200 million, I don't know. Because Russell Wilson he got
161 fully guaranteed. 5 years, 242 million.
fully guaranteed.
No, 161 was fully
160 guaranteed. So, I don't think Lamar. He might be should be willing to give a little on the guarantee. Maybe not a lot.
He's
but
going. He's going for Lamar Jackson, and I believe I have a report here. The Lamar, according to ESPN, was it Jay Fowler? Lamar Jackson wants a fully guaranteed deal similar to the 5-year, $230 million deal the Browns gave Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
According to sources, Lamar turned down, like I said, the 5-year, $250, $133 fully guaranteed. The way it's looking, it could seem Lamar may force his way out of Baltimore. I do think the way that, Kyler Murray got his contract and Russell Wilson got his contract, I think it's very, very unfair that the Ravens offered him only $131 million fully guaranteed.
I agree.
That's the problem I have here.
That's where they should have gone 190.
That would make sense. Although, Kyler Murray essentially got 190. So I would go
Maybe go 200.
I believe I said this exact number. You go 6 years, $300 million, 200 of it fully guaranteed. There's your number right there. The Cleveland Clowns should not be setting the QB market. I'm sorry. If Lamar is going out for $230 million guaranteed because the Browns made that offer, that's where I'm going to disagree with him.
Well, 300 would be $50 million a year.
$50 million a year. But you get him for an extra year.
Deshaun's not making that much. He's getting $46 million a year.
It's $230 million for a 5-year contract, but it's fully guaranteed. So I'm going, you add an extra year, you add $70 more million, but you also drop $30 million of that fully guaranteed. So you're at a contract of $300 million, 6 years, that's $50 million a year, $200 million of it fully guaranteed. Because you know what? Is Lamar worth that? Yes. But here's where I'm going to sort of agree with the Ravens here. The reason why the injuries might not have been a problem is because he wasn't that injury prone. In his career, he's had a total, including college, of 6 injuries where he hasn't missed significant time with each of those injuries, except for these past 2 where he's missed. He only played 12 games each of the past 2 seasons. He's played, I think, 10 of the last 25 games. So now they're becoming a problem. They weren't a problem before, and that's why the Ravens picked him and built the team around him. But now we're looking at it. It may be becoming a problem for Lamar.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's what the Ravens
why it's hard
going
to give him all that guaranteed money.
Exactly. No, I completely agree with that. But are you really going to go back?
If he was a quarterback like Brady, maybe you'd think about it, because Brady's not out there running and putting himself in harm's way, or never did. And he look at his longevity. He only got hurt once.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So.
But you know what? Here's the crazy part. The injuries weren't even with him running the ball. It's with him in the pocket getting sacked or on a bootleg and he gets tackled. That's where he's gotten his 2 injuries that have, that's have him miss significant time. And also, the Ravens thought that Lamar could have played in the wild card game against the Bengals. They were expecting him to play, and him not even being there, it left a sour note for them. But is Lamar worth more than Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson's guaranteed money? 1,000% yes. Because we've in recent time, Lamar has been a better quarterback than Russell Wilson. And in Kyler Murray, Lamar is, I think Kyler Murray has a better arm, like arm strength. I don't know about arm talent. That you could leave that up for discussion.
He's not as good an athlete.
He's not as good of an athlete as Lamar Jackson. I will give you that. Kyler Murray is now afraid to run the football. Lamar, that's how the offense is
He's had 2,200 yards rushing in 4 years, so that's pretty good.
Absolutely. It's thrilling to watch how Lamar operates. But from the Ravens' perspective, and I've said this from the beginning, since Lamar got all this crazy hype, we better enjoy it while it lasts. Because Lamar's play style does not last long in the NFL. That's just the way it is. Because when you see these hyper athletes, when they're in their prime, that's when you're going to see it. So for all we know, Lamar could be Lamar Jackson the way we see him now for 4 or 5 more years, and then he needs to transition just like Michael Vick did into a more of a pocket passer. And right now, should he be able to do it by the time he needs to? Yeah, he needs to work on that because he's not a great thrower. And people keep picking apart, that 400-yard game against the Browns. Okay, if we're on one game, that's stupid.
Average completion percentage is 63.7.
That's not great.
Bad.
That's not great, though.
No, but overall 96.7% quarterback rating.
Like that's really good. But we're talking about a great
his
thrower.
Touchdown
No.
to interception ratio is very good, right?
He wins games.
He's had 12,000
Except playoff
yards
games.
passing. He's averaged in the high twos, but that's because he's running the ball a lot. He got 4,400 yards in rushing.
No, it's incredible what he's doing. But the simple fact is, the Ravens are looking at it from perspective of historical data of his type of play style doesn't last that long. Now you're seeing recency where he's getting injured twice.
So let's say that the
both are leg injuries too. He had an ankle sprain last. He had an ankle sprain. Let's see. Last year ankle sprain, and then this season you come up, he gets a PCL sprain. So he has 2 leg injuries. That's the big thing here. Leg injuries.
Yeah.
That's the problem with Zion. He has he's a big dude and he has leg injuries, which are probably going to plague him the rest of his career.
Yeah.
Is this going to plague Lamar?
So
on the same
let's
leg
say
too?
that the Ravens can't make a deal with him and they decide to trade him. Who's going to pick him up and give him a $230 million contract, fully guaranteed?
Well, here's the interesting thing.
Who's going to give it to him?
If the Ravens put a franchise tag on Lamar Jackson, right, and they would need to do they were hoping for the non-exclusive franchise tag, so no other team can make an offer on Lamar and basically steal him for 2 first-round picks to give back to the Ravens. They're going to go for the exclusive. No team can touch him. I think Lamar does hold out. I do, and he has every right to show up 4 days before preseason and say, "Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing?" And they have a brand new offensive coordinator that the report is they just informed Lamar on who they were signing. Lamar had no input on it, and that's the Georgia Bulldogs OC, I believe. So Lamar very well could hold out. Would it shock me? No. Do I think, either side could be a little bit more reasonable? The Ravens need to come up from 133 and Lamar needs to drop down from 230 million or more. I think there needs to be some middle ground. And the problem is you're your own agent. So you're hearing directly from the team why you're not worth the money.
That's why I think he makes a mistake there, being his own agent.
I agree with you.
His mother helps him too, right? I think he and his mother are doing it. I mean, he saves a lot of money. Does he save any money doing that? I don't know. So far, he hasn't gotten the huge contract yet.
I think it's marginal. Yeah. I simply think the money. But
if they was traded, who do you think would go after?
The Jets are going to be very interested in him. The Falcons were rumored to get him. There's another. I mean, the Patriots were even rumored to pick up Lamar Jackson.
Oh yeah.
So I definitely think if he somehow hits a trade market, I think there'll be a lot. Obviously, there'll be a lot of suitors for him because he's a great talent.
Maybe not the Jets. Maybe not the Raiders or the 49ers or some of those teams where they'll be picking up these other quarterbacks.
Well, we don't know. We don't know. Derek Carr said he's gonna elongate the process of this to see just how much he's worth.
Well, how quickly do the Ravens have to make a decision?
March 7th is the end of the tag window.
Okay.
And then March 15th is the new year for the NFL. So that's when you get to talk to people, sign free agents. That's when people who aren't on the tag, or I guess after March 7th, who's going to be a free agent entering that new year, the players that don't get tagged. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. They still have about, 10 days, to get this done. Well, you were looking at, about 10 days, 11 days. So it's going to be difficult because if they put a franchise tag on him, Lamar's going to be like, hey, I just got hurt for the second year in a row. I have no security. I have no security whatsoever.
Yeah.
But once again, I do think, they need to be a little bit more reasonable. He's better than Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray. So he deserves at least $191 million, fully guaranteed. The rest of the contract, you could debate.
I mean, when you look at it that way, he demanded $230 fully guaranteed. $230 versus $190 is not that big a difference, right?
Well, I think you would start above $190.
Maybe you go with $200 million guaranteed and $300 million full contract, 7 years.
Even if it's
7 years.
Here's the thing: even if it's 5 years, $250, $200 guaranteed, that's fine. That's fine. But you're not going to get Deshaun Watson money. I think that's unreasonable. Because
that was a mistake. I mean, that was a mistake.
I don't think the Cleveland Browns should set the QB market because look at their franchise. They've had horrible quarterbacks like Brandon Wheaton and Couch and Johnny Manziel. You have all these quarterbacks, and all of a sudden now this is the team that's setting the QB market out here. No, it's ridiculous. They made a bad decision in doing it because they were just trying to overpay.
They made
for
a lot
of
bad decisions over the years.
Absolutely. So now we're taking a look at it, and Lamar's like, okay, I want that. He's basically just betting on a bad decision to try to, make everything okay, which I think that is definitely a bad idea. But let's get into our next topic because it's very interesting. Brock Purdy, his surgery for his UCL was actually postponed due to inflammation. So we're looking at potentially, a couple weeks from now, a month or so from now, until Brock Purdy actually gets it healed or gets surgery on it and then starts the healing process, which I believe it's reported, 6 to 8 months around that portion of it.
Really? That long to heal that?
He should, supposedly he should be good to go by, I believe it was camp originally because he was supposed to have surgery on it, 2-3 days ago. So we're looking at potentially start of opening, like the week 1 or maybe, third preseason game. Who knows? But, then the conversation gets started because Trey Lance is still recovering from his injury. Brock Purdy needs to start recovering from his surgery that he's going to get in, a couple weeks, a month, who knows? So do you think the 49ers should go back to Jimmy G as their option for the quarterback position?
They're probably considering it, but I'm not sure Jimmy G will want to go that route. He's in the driver's seat. He's a free agent.
Yeah.
Right? He can go listen to all the deals.
Correct.
I think his landing spot is the Raiders.
Okay.
Yeah, because Josh McDaniel knows him, and I think he probably had some respect for him. He knows his system. So I think that Jimmy G's good chance he's going to land there.
Okay. Very interesting because I really thought you were going to say, yeah, sure, bring him back,
Well, they may want to. He may not want to.
Right.
I mean, he will. He's going to be a starter anywhere else he goes. If he
I would say,
at San Francisco, he might be third string. Right? He has a potential of being third string.
I don't know about that one.
What do you mean? Trey Lance and Purdy ahead of him. I mean, they started Trey Lance until he got hurt. It was only
for
second
a game. Second game, I think third throw or something like that. He got hurt.
That was a shame for him.
I mean,
I wonder how he's recovering.
I haven't heard much about it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I'm going to agree with you. The 49ers, I don't think they should try. Because Kyle Shanahan literally was asked at the end of the year, is there any situation where Jimmy G comes back? He said, no chance. 0. But the funny part about it is, Jimmy G said his goodbyes last offseason. And Kyle Shanahan said, no, he's not a part of our future. Trey Lance is the guy. It's Trey Lance's team now. Lo and behold, Jimmy G takes a pay cut, comes back. Trey Lance ends up getting hurt. Jimmy G begins what was an incredible run for the 49ers. Yeah. Brock Purdy finished it up.
How much money did they pay Jimmy G this past year?
I'm not sure, but according to reports that came out today, Jimmy G's looking between a multi-year deal, 25 to 30, or was it? Yeah, $25 to $30 million.
That's a deal for him.
I would agree with you. But it's just a question mark of, here's the thing, right? The one huge knock on Jimmy G and why the 49ers decided to, draft Trey Lance at all was Jimmy G cannot stay healthy. It's not, he overthrows receivers, he underthrows receivers, he does this. No, that's not why. No, because that's not what Kyle Shanahan's offense needs. A guy who runs out of the pocket and becomes, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson on his runs, or has the arm strength of a Josh Allen or a Patrick Mahomes. It's just, can you get it to the guys that are wide open? And we take a look at what Jimmy G has done throughout his tenure with the 49ers and what Kyle Shanahan, the great success he had with Jimmy G. There's no, oh my God, no, look, it's not, but yeah, Jimmy G this, Jimmy G that. No, the proof is there. Kyle Shanahan has won a significant amount of games with Jimmy G, and the comparison is night and day between with and without Jimmy G. Kyle Shanahan wins significantly more with Jimmy Garoppolo than without him. Because guess what? His offense doesn't require a super mobile quarterback or a guy with, Herculean arm strength. That's not what his offense requires. Yeah. So Jimmy G was a beautiful fit there. But now, the one reason why they drafted Trey Lance was Jimmy G cannot stay healthy. It wasn't his playoff performance or his regular season performance or the turnovers. It was simply his injury history. He couldn't stay healthy.
I think they also. I think they had a thought.
I believe that.
I think they had a thought about what they thought Trey Lance could do, given his athleticism. Well, his athleticism would be off the charts compared to Jimmy G, right?
Well, it was between Trey Lance and Mac Jones, which those are two opposites. It was between Mac Jones and Trey Lance.
They went with the guy that could be a great passing Lamar Jackson. Right? Trey Lance.
But he was a significant
But he had no experience. That's the thing. He had no experience.
I think he's played, 7 football games in 3 years or something like that, which is ridiculous. So they took a huge gamble, and now it looks like Brock Purdy may have the starting job when healthy.
Yes, he's healthy.
But the problem is, though, they need to start Trey Lance because they moved 3 first-round picks to get him.
Well, my thought is they're going to go with Trey Lance and Purdy. That's going to be, and Jimmy G is going to go sign a $30 million a year contract with somebody else. I think probably the Raiders.
I agree with you, but
I mean, the Raiders will be getting a good deal if they can get him for 25 or 30 million. Right, and he fit right into McDaniel's scheme. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what backs up my point. Right, with Jimmy G, before they drafted Trey Lance in 2021, he had one healthy season, and that was the Super Bowl season. Before then, he played the 5 games at the end of the year. He went 5-0. Then he went 1-2 the following year, and then went 3-3 in 2020 after the Super Bowl year. And then they drafted Trey Lance. So he wasn't healthy. He was healthy for 1 year.
But the year that they made it to the NFC Championship against the Rams,
which was 2021. He went 9-6.
And so he's played 15 games.
Right. But what I'm saying is that the reason why they even drafted Trey Lance, because they drafted him April of 2021.
He was there. Lance was there when Garoppolo.
Yes, that was his rookie year. Yeah. So, I mean, in his healthy year, he threw for almost 4,000 yards, almost 30 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions.
It's very good.
That's a good season right there. I'm not saying that's a great season. That is a good season. 4,000 yards, 27 touchdowns, almost 70% completion percentage. That's the big number right there. That's the difference between him and Trey Lance. Trey Lance is averaging about, 52%?
I don't think there's not enough sample size on Trey Lance to make any kind of a judgment.
Hey,
he hasn't played enough.
Do you really think? Because we saw a very small...
I mean, he didn't play that well in the They let him play a lot in the preseason just to get some experience. He didn't play that well.
Well, we're taking a look at, the first game Brock Purdy came in. Everyone was saying, who the hell is this guy? Trey Lance is in here. We're saying, okay, let's see what he can do. We sat here. He had one great throw. That was like an 80-yard touchdown. But besides that, he's been inaccurate. And we're talking about, 2 games here. The first game Brock Purdy was in, we thought he was dealing. So, we're talking about the sample. I agree with you. There's a tiny, tiny sample size with Trey Lance. But we compare it to the guy who was right behind him, or I think actually right in front of him in Brock Purdy. And now in retrospect, he played 7-8 games, and now we're saying, he has an 8-game sample size. But we're talking about the first.
He was undefeated.
We're talking about the first 2 games here.
He was undefeated until the Super Bowl, until the NFC Championship game. And then he got hurt. They might have won that game. You don't know.
May have. But what I'm saying is that we're talking about the sample size, and I agree with you. There is a tiny sample size with Trey Lance. But in comparison to Brock Purdy's first, 2 games? Let's say 2 games. Brock Purdy looked better than Trey Lance. And we're saying, CMC wasn't on the team. But yet, you don't give the same excuse for Jimmy G when he didn't have CMC and played, what people think is poorly. Then CMC comes on the team, and actually Jimmy G is the one that started off that 10-game winning streak. Jimmy G was there for 4 games before Brock Purdy took over when Jimmy G broke his ankle. So, we got to put some context here. We can't say, Trey Lance didn't have CMC, but Brock Purdy did. But then don't acknowledge that Brock Purdy had CMC for his entire tenure as a starting quarterback, and Jimmy G had him for 3-4 games. So that's all I'm going to say about that situation, because I think it is. I think it's a little bit unfair to it's unfair for all parties. Brock Purdy's, first of all, we got to stop calling Brock Purdy now Mr. Irrelevant. I don't think he's that anymore. I think he made himself very, very relevant.
I think he's considered a starting quarterback in the NFL now.
I would 100% agree with you, because he's earned that right, I definitely would say.
I think he played very well. Right. I think he played very well. He did what the offense called for. His stats were good. He seems like a very good team player. Very enthusiastic guy. When they make a great play, he's jumping all around. So I like the guy. I think he's a stand-up guy. And he's only a rookie. Look what he did as a rookie. Pretty impressive.
I do think it is very impressive. But we are going to take a break. If you want to listen to the show anywhere you go, you can listen on anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour. That's ANCHOR.fm/The Harvey Hour, or anywhere you get your podcast. You can also send in your questions by going to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour/message, where you could sign up and then send in any question you have, and we will answer it live on air. The Harvey Hour, back after this.
Introducing video podcasts on Spotify.
Transform your storytelling into a show everyone can watch
Or listen to.
Easily upload your video through Anchor, Spotify's free podcast creation tool.
So whether you're showing off a new recipe,
Interviewing an exclusive guest,
or uncovering the next mystery,
you can now reach a whole new audience with Spotify.
podcasting just became more than audio.
Create with Anchor, watch on Spotify.
You have a lot to say. Maybe you've thought, I should start a podcast. Meet Anchor, the easiest way to make a podcast ever. It's a powerful mobile app and web tool that lets you record a podcast anywhere and distribute it everywhere. It's great whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out. And it's 100% free. You can record your show straight into Anchor on your phone, iPad, or the web, using any mic you want. Record alone or with friends or co-hosts anywhere in the world. You can add background music and transitions, and your listeners can send you voice messages that you can incorporate right into your next episode. If you want to produce your show using another app, you can upload your own audio directly from web or mobile, and still take advantage of Anchor's totally free podcast hosting. Once your podcast is ready to publish, Anchor can automatically distribute it to every major podcast platform. That includes Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, so your listeners can hear your show wherever they want. And on the web, you can see detailed analytics about how people are listening. Plus, you'll get a great-looking profile page where anyone can listen to your podcast or subscribe to it. And if you want to ask your audience to support your work, Anchor makes it easy to collect monthly payments from the people who love your podcast and want to see it grow. You really don't need a recording studio, expensive equipment, or a bunch of technical knowledge to deal with a podcast feed. Just get started and join the diverse community of podcasters already on Anchor. We can't wait to hear your podcast.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey, and as always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our next topic. We're talking about the one, the only, Aaron Rodgers. He has emerged from his darkness retreat. He has emerged from what actually looked like a place in Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit hole. We actually have footage here, and there is a description of what it was. We're going to bring it up right now. The 300-square-foot room in which Rodgers spent his time is a partially underground structure devoid of light, with a queen bed, a bathroom, and a meditation-like mat. It is fully powered, and the lights can be turned on from inside the room. That is according to Sky Cave Retreats owner Scott Berman, and these are from Front Office Sports on Twitter. These images that we have obtained, which, I mean, it looks pretty quaint. There's your little...
It's pretty cool, actually.
It does look pretty cool.
I don't know if I want to spend 4 days in there by myself with the lights off.
Well, you can turn on the lights, which I think actually sort of defeats the whole purpose.
I thought he was in the darkness. I thought it was supposed to be a darkness retreat.
It is, but I guess you have the opportunity to turn on the light.
Oh.
It's part of the experience, but it looked like a Hobbit hole. That's what it looked like, snow covering it.
Where was it located?
I believe it's Oregon, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh.
So he was literally in the middle of nowhere.
Is it his place, or did he rent it?
You could actually rent this. I believe the first availability is in October. It's booked until then. So
I don't think I'll take him up on it.
Oh, you don't want to live in a Hobbit hole for X amount of time?
No, I'd go crazy being in there.
To find your inner self?
Yeah.
Gain a sense of clarity?
I found my inner self already.
So, of course, Aaron Rodgers has until, the new NFL year, which is March 15th, to make a decision whether or not he wants to stay playing in the NFL, stay on the Packers, or decides he wants to take his business elsewhere and join a different team via a trade. So I'm going to ask you, what team do you think Aaron Rodgers, or if he'll even play in NFL, what team do you think he'll play for in 2023?
The Jets.
Really? Ooh, interesting. Why do you think the Jets?
They have Nathaniel Hackett as their offensive coordinator.
I mean, look how good that ended up for the Broncos.
I know. Well, I'm just saying that Aaron Rodgers and Nathaniel Hackett had good success together.
Right.
So I think that's one reason the Jets went and got him, which surprised me a little bit, given how poorly he did as a head coach, who knows? Maybe the guy's on the downswing. I don't know. But I thought that was probably the main reason they went and got him. That's going to entice Rodgers if the Packers want to trade him. That the Jets would be right up there at the top. So I think they're the one in the driver's seat, and they're the ones that can pick up a $50 million contract per year for 2 more years, right?
Right.
And I don't know. I don't think he'll play more than 2 more years. I think he'll play out this contract. Depending on how well he did, somebody will probably offer him another big contract because, look, Tom Brady made it to 45. Aaron Rodgers seems more mobile now than he seems very mobile. He doesn't seem like he's lost anything, right?
Well, compared to Tom Brady,
well, Tom Brady was not that different kind of quarterback.
We look more
Aaron
mobile than
Rodgers
Brady.
still seems very mobile to me.
Right.
So I think he's going to play. Who's going to give up $100 million, right? I just don't see him doing that. It doesn't seem like anyone would do that. So I think he's going to play. I think there's a fair chance the Packers will trade him. And if they do, I say he's going to the Jets. What do you think?
I'm sticking to my guns here. I'm sticking to my guns. By the way, Rodgers has $60 million or $59.465 million guaranteed if he does play next year or this upcoming season. But I'm sticking to my guns. The Packers are the best situation for Aaron Rodgers because they have a better O-line than the Jets. The Jets have injury pieces and still need to tack on 1 or 2 more pieces. The Packers, you can compare the wide receivers. I think the Jets may beat out the wide receiver room than the Packers have. But the Packers have the 1-2 combo of Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, which the Jets don't have. They got Breece Hall, who's a very, very good running back. But we're taking a look at the 1-2 punch. That's where actually they found that 4-game success, which was in the defense and the run game. It wasn't Aaron Rodgers. And besides, there's a huge part of Aaron Rodgers that is, in control of the way that organization runs. He has them by the throat, essentially, with this retirement stuff. He's been mentioning retirement for 3 years now. And the Packers are at a whim right now. They're like, well, please, Aaron Rodgers, come back. We'll give you what you want. They wanted Randall Cobb, brought back Randall Cobb.
I don't know. I hear that they are kind of soured on him.
Well, guess what? They're a few years too late. They should have got rid of him last year. I still think they should.
They may give what's his name?
Jordan Love?
Yeah, a chance.
They should, and they're
going to show him some love.
They should have at the end of last year, or at least when the Packers were what, like 11% chance to
I
make the
do
playoffs?
think the Packers made a mistake in giving him a 3-year, $150 million contract.
That's what he
right?
wanted. That's what he wanted. Like I said, the Packers do anything for one Aaron Rodgers. And that's why I think it's the best situation for him. He's played, 18 years
They
there?
may not think so, though. Maybe the Packers don't think so. Maybe they'll think, yeah, he wants to come back to us. We're going to trade him.
Hey, you know what? That would be a smart move, but you're a year late on that. Now Aaron Rodgers, you're a year late.
They should be able to get quite a bit for him.
I don't know. I don't think he's at the top because I think this season.
You don't think they can get a first-round draft pick for him?
Maybe 1, but we're not talking about what could have been last year where there were reports about multi-first round.
The Jets will give him a lot. They'll give a lot to the Packers to get him.
Well, what was it? Last offseason, we talked about QB or not to be when Nathaniel Hackett went to the Broncos, and we thought, he'd go to the Broncos because of Nathaniel Hackett, his former OC. It looked like people were ready to move heaven and earth to try to get Aaron Rodgers. Now you see this year, I don't think people are as inclined. And he's a year older. He's 39 years old. I don't think people are as inclined to pay the big bucks for Aaron Rodgers as they were last year.
Maybe not. He didn't have that great a season last year.
And I think it would be much, much smarter for the Jets to stick to a Derek Carr or a Jimmy G, who you don't have to give up literally anything besides money to get them for.
I'd say it's Derek Carr.
Derek Carr over Jimmy G, I agree with you there. But if we're talking about Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr, yes, Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback than Derek Carr. I think that's undisputed. You can't even debate
Probably
that.
not as good a teammate.
Well, that I agree with you on. And Aaron Rodgers does not work well with young receivers. Creates basically no relationship with his young receivers. Which is what the
Jets have.
The Jets, I believe, are trying to build a culture, and Aaron Rodgers comes in there. He'll
disrupt it.
I don't think he's really, let's be honest here. He's not a great culture builder. Devontae Adams, his most productive player in probably his entire career. The first chance he got to leave Green Bay, he took it in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. How could you do that if you have such a great culture? Aaron Rodgers doesn't work in the offseason. He doesn't show up to OTAs. I mean, we had 2 brand new receivers that, people were begging for. Aaron Rodgers was begging for new receivers, a first-round draft pick receiver. Give him some pieces to work with. Well, the Packers drafted Romeo Doubs, who, had his ups and downs here. And they also drafted a 6'5", 230-pound receiver that also runs a 4.3 40 time, which is incredibly fast and incredibly big receiver.
Dropped some balls,
He
too.
had one bad drop. However, there has to be a little bit of blame on Aaron Rodgers for the way things transpired early in the year. Was there a bad drop on Christian Watson? Yes, but they had zero rapport to know where you need to be exactly at what time you need to be at. It's just as simple as that. And it took them, 8, 9, 10 weeks to finally figure that out. And by then, you had a 12% chance to make the playoffs? Meanwhile, if you actually had an offseason and you worked with your young receivers, you may have had a 40-50% chance to make the playoffs at week 10 or 11. But instead, you had no rapport. You guys were off target on some throws. Aaron Rodgers, like I predicted in our, we should have done the retrospect Harvey hot takes, which we'll do sometime soon, I think. I said Aaron Rodgers will have 10 plus interceptions. I believe he ended with 11 or 12. So
You got it right.
yeah, I was very happy with that because I didn't think it was all Devontae Adams. That's all the production was. So without him, he wasn't going to trust nobody.
Yeah.
And we saw they literally.
Well, he should have been smarter than that. He should have spent the time with the young receivers.
Yeah.
It would have paid off.
And look at the Jets all have young receivers. They got Garrett Wilson, and Elijah
Instead,
Moore.
he went out there without working out with them, and then they didn't do so well, and he criticized them, and that
Yep.
made it even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's not a great team player. That's not his forte. He's kind of a loner.
Yeah.
He likes that image, I think, of loner.
He's definitely.
I mean, go into the darkness.
outlier.
He went into the darkness retreat, right?
Yeah.
That's a loner type.
4
thing.
days, 4 nights in the
Loner.
middle of nowhere in a hobbit hole.
Yeah.
That's where he
I
went.
wonder who was delivering his food.
I think this company is a part of
they
that.
do it.
I believe I saw there's like a medicine cabinet that like could slot in food and then you close it to keep the darkness in. They open it from the other side, they put the food in, they shut their side, and then Aaron Rodgers takes his food. I'm pretty sure that's how it would work. But hey, it's Aaron Rodgers. He's a character to say the least.
That is true. He's a loner.
Yeah.
That's what I think, and he likes that image.
So you think he'll go to the Jets? You think he'll skip over the Raiders and play with Devontae Adams again?
I do think so.
Oh, interesting.
I don't think that Josh McDaniels is. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is his kind of quarterback.
I could probably get down with that, but I think Aaron Rodgers.
I think Josh McDaniels is probably wanting Jimmy G because he fits in there salary wise.
Yep.
He knows Josh McDaniels' system.
Yep.
He's a capable quarterback. And they have a lot of pieces around him. They have quite a few pieces around him. A great running back and one great receiver and a couple of really pretty good ones. Darren Waller's a very good tight end.
Yep.
Right.
And he's got 100 Renfro.
I think that's the route they're going to go. They can save about $30 million a year by going with him instead of Aaron Rodgers.
I could agree with that, but
plus they got to give up probably draft picks or something to get Aaron Rodgers too. It's not just a salary; they're going to have to give up something.
they probably
have to give up something very good, right?
Most likely, but I still think you could probably get him for a second and a third, maybe. Maybe I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
I mean, you have to eat that big salary. That's the thing, you know.
You do. But I think Aaron Rodgers fits in more with the Raiders persona than he does with New York.
Oh
football.
yeah, well, persona-wise, you're right. Image-wise, there's a bunch of loners on the Raiders team. They kind of
a historically dysfunctional franchise. And Aaron Rodgers, I mean, first of all, any team he goes to, it's there's solid evidence that even if you make the playoffs, you may be one and done when you're in the playoffs. Because that's just what Aaron Rodgers has been.
Yeah.
Since I'm not going to put this on Pat McAfee show, but since joining the Pat McAfee show 2 years ago, not won a single playoff game. Not a single one, because I think he's more focused on creating headlines than he is about actually winning big-time games.
He likes doing State Farm commercials.
Yeah, he loves doing those. Loves getting his personality out there. So I'm sticking with the Packers because you know what? He's holding the Packers by the throat and saying, do what I want or else I'm gone.
Yeah.
And the Packers are like, we can't really give you up your first ballot Hall of Famer.
How many years has Jordan Love played now? 3? Was this his third year or second
They
year?
need to make a decision on whether or not they're actually going to play him, because I believe his 5th year contract, they need to, say, do you want, or are we going to give it to
They
you
really
or not?
don't know much about him.
They know
Pretty
nothing
small sample size.
You had an opportunity when the Packers were statistically, mathematically, they were not out, but they were basically out. You needed a miracle, and you couldn't beat the 32nd ranked defense in the Detroit Lions to basically, create a miracle there.
Yeah.
And make it to the playoffs. So I think you had an opportunity the last 5 or 6 games to play Jordan Love, sit Aaron Rodgers, and then you know what? You can move off to him. If Jordan Love is really that guy, then you play him next year. But now you come into this year saying, well, he looks better in practice, but in the real-time game, there's not really much we can do. And also, I found it very funny. NFL did their top 100 plays of this year. Jordan Love was above any Aaron Rodgers play this year. That one throw against the Eagles to Christian Watson that went for a 45, 50-yard touchdown. It was a simple pass, but it made 60 or 71 on the list. That was higher than any Aaron Rodgers play in the entire season. So I just found that a little bit interesting. But let's get into our last topic here. We're talking about what was I'm calling it a bombshell report. Supposedly, according to The Athletic, Russell Wilson in February of 2022 asked the owner, well, we're assuming it's the owner, because Russell Wilson asked for the GM, John Snyder, as well as head coach Pete Carroll to be fired after there were, he put out the teams that he didn't want, or the teams that he wanted to be traded to and everything like that. But that's essentially what happened. Basically, Russell Wilson was convinced that, according to The Athletic, that Pete Carroll and Schneider were inhibiting his quest to win additional Super Bowls and individual awards, according to league sources who spoke to The Athletic on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to discuss the details. These anonymous sources get a little bit weird, but there are actually some quotes. There was a very big article written by The Athletic, a huge article that broke down basically the entire season into detail, where there were actually some quotes from some players and some coaches there. But based on what you have here, I gave you the report. I gave you the shortened version, the more breaking news one. The Seahawks end up trading Russell Wilson instead of firing their GM and head coach.
Yeah.
And we compared the seasons between Geno Smith on the Seahawks and Russell Wilson on the Broncos, and Geno Smith looked like the better option there. So I want to know, how much do you actually believe in this report, and what's your overall reaction to, I'm still calling this a bombshell report by The Athletic.
Well, if it's true, it is a bombshell report. And I think that if it is true, then I think that Seattle did the right thing. I mean, it looks like they got the better end of that deal big time, right?
Right.
We'll see what Russell Wilson does with Sean Payton as his head coach. Maybe he rebounds, maybe he doesn't. We'll see. But the Seattle got, what'd they get? They got several first-round picks, right?
I think they got 2 firsts, 2 seconds, a 4th, and 2 players.
Yeah. That's fantastic. And they got Noah Fant, right?
Well, that's one of the players, the tight end, yeah.
He's a good tight end. And for that first-round pick this year is going to be worth a lot. The Broncos only won 5 games.
It's a beautiful pick right now.
It's a very big pick. So Seattle's going to strengthen themselves big time by that trade. I think they're going to be viewed as down the road here. I think the big winner in that one.
Right.
Whether Russell Wilson can bounce back and under Sean Payton, we'll see. Sean Payton's a great coach. There's no doubt about it. He's 100%. An offensive guy, but he was helped a lot by having Drew Brees as his quarterback, too. And Drew Brees is a Hall of Fame quarterback. So, I don't know. Maybe Sean Payton is a very, very good coach who had a great quarterback. I don't know.
Well,
and rather than a great coach who made...
that's a hot take right there. That is a hot take.
That made Drew Brees better. I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say. I think he's a very, very good coach. Whether he's the world beater or not, I don't know.
I think he's a very, very good coach. But Russell Wilson actually did respond this morning in a tweet. Which I believe we have up. Let's get it up right now. Here it is. I love Pete, and he was a father figure to me, and John believed in me and drafted me as well. I never wanted them fired. All any of us wanted was to win. I'll always have respect for them and love for Seattle. Well, that's not a good sign when you basically said I wanted to stay in Seattle, but then had your agent call teams about potential trade offers, and then
So somebody's not telling the truth.
and then you released 5 teams that you would prefer to go to if you were to be traded. One of them was including the Saints, and the report here says he wanted to replace Pete Carroll with Sean Payton. Well, Russell Wilson, you got Sean Payton now, and that's after you went to Nathaniel Hackett, who was an abomination. But this goes into more about the whole situation between him and the Broncos and everything like that. So here's a crazy thing to think about. So Russell Wilson had his own office on the 2nd floor, had his own trainer in the facility, I believe even had his own cooks. And basically, Russell Wilson was not really assimilated with the rest of the team. He felt like he was above everybody, and everyone else was his, underlings. But he still said, my office is always open. You could talk to me and everything like that.
What's he got his office for? He's a player.
That's a great question. And
his locker is his office.
Exactly. And that's what some coaches were wondering. Like, hey, you should be downstairs with the rest of the players.
Yeah.
Even though he had an open door policy.
Brady never did anything like that.
Of course not. No, of course not. He would walk up to the first rookie and say, hey, my name's Tom Brady, and introduce himself like every rookie didn't know who Tom Brady was. But the 2nd floor, players didn't want to go because if you went to the 2nd floor, chances were you were basically going to be told by the team you were being released. So the 2nd floor is not a place you want to go to. Russell Wilson was out here, making all these decisions and basically being above everyone. And supposedly, according to reports, players and coaches did not appreciate Russell Wilson doing that because he thought he was above everybody else.
Football is a team sport.
Yeah.
Right?
So, I mean, we're taking a look here with Russell Wilson. This is a bad look. And there were also some moments of Russell Wilson, and he was making plays, and players thought, and coaches on the Broncos thought Nathaniel Hackett basically gave Russell Wilson the keys to the Broncos and had him basically run everything. That they gave Russell Wilson so much power that really, let Russ cook was not something the Seahawks made, it's something that Russell Wilson made. Russell Wilson's got this big persona now, and he wants to portray that everyone. He needs to get humbled. And what's crazy is that in Sean Payton's first press conference, the reporters asked him about, would Russell Wilson's own coach be there? Would his trainer be there? And Sean Payton's like, yeah, that's not going to happen here. So Sean Payton putting his foot down immediately saying, yeah, Russ, you got to change what you're doing here. You got to focus on our coaches, our trainers, our staff. Everyone else could be sort of, pushed aside. The Patriots did that with Brady, actually. His TB12 trainer, Alex Guerrero, he wasn't allowed to stand with the rest of the team. And Brady got mad. And Brady got very mad when that happened. But I don't like this. I do believe this because, with the way Russell Wilson, his attitude at the end of his Seahawks tenure, and there were reportedly several rifts between him and Pete Carroll, this doesn't surprise me in the least that he asked for them to be fired. It does not surprise me in the least. Because you know what? You want to get Sean Payton, who is probably a better coach than Pete Carroll would be, I would assume. Pete Carroll, he didn't, build a great offensive line. The offensive line was bad. The running game, which was a huge staple throughout basically in the entirety of Russell Wilson's career, with Marshawn Lynch, who was, top 5 in running throughout that great run, essentially each and every year. He didn't have that. He still had great receivers in DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. But Russell Wilson said, there need to be some changes if we want to see success. Well, could those changes be an offensive line, which very well could be one of the changes, but also could it have been, the guy who's in my ear and who's building up my team, the GM and the coach? Could I want them to be changed? I think there's a very big possibility. I don't believe Russell Wilson's statement at all. I don't.
I don't either.
That's called damage control.
Yeah, I agree.
Because why? First of all, if Russell Wilson played great, this story would never have come out. This story wouldn't have come out. It's just that Russell Wilson played very, very poorly last season.
Yep.
That this story came out. So Russell Wilson's on damage control. There'll always be people that are saying, no, this report doesn't mean anything. It's nothing. It's a bunch of malarkey.
I wonder if Pete Carroll, what he would say about it.
He wouldn't care. Pete Carroll would not care in the least. Because
I wonder if he must have known rumors about it.
Guess what?
That's not something you can keep quiet.
He's probably reading this report and laughing, saying, we got him.
Yeah.
You played bad. We got Geno Smith. Geno Smith, who was a bust throughout every single year of his career until Russell Wilson was gone. That's the crazy thing about it. Geno Smith was a bust.
Good for Geno.
Absolutely good for Geno Smith. He had a great year, and he's probably going to sign a multi-year extension with the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Was that a great idea? I think only time will tell, but Geno Smith played well enough to make it to the playoffs. So this whole situation, I think it has, damage control on Russell Wilson's part, but I'm not all that surprised by the fact that the story dropped. Was the initial surprise of, oh my God, a bombshell. Russell Wilson wanted the GM and the head coach fired. A little bit, but now you think about it, Russell Wilson was angry, sent all these messages out about he wants to change the team, and then his agent was going behind everyone's back in secrecy, even though Russell Wilson himself said he wanted to stay in Seattle. His agent was going around figuring out what he was worth to other teams. Even then, he posted that list of 5 or 6 teams he wanted to be traded to, one of which was the Saints, who at the time had Sean Payton as their head coach. So I'm not all that surprised if you really think about it.
Well, he wound up getting a huge payday out of it.
He did?
He didn't earn his money last year. We'll see what happens in the new year with a new coach. The guy he wanted all along. So will he step up and be a world beater?
He needs to.
But
he needs to.
I don't know. I'm not sure that offense has got the pieces to make him a world beater.
Ooh,
Who's their running back?
They have Javonte. He tore his ACL. Javonte Williams, who was a very, very good running back.
Mm-hmm. And the wide receivers.
You got Jerry Jeudy. You got.
He didn't do much this past year, right?
No, you got Sutton. You had a couple of injuries.
Morton Sutton.
Yeah, you got a couple of injuries on the wide receiver position, so it wasn't as effective. Your offensive line needs to be fixed a little bit. I think he had 50 sacks this season.
Yeah.
So offensive line is not great. The defense was.
They don't have many draft picks either. They gave them all away to Seattle.
Gave them all away, and they gave up more to get Sean Payton. Because they had to give the Saints compensation. It was basically a trade like a player, except it was for a coach. So
I heard Colin Coward did the analysis of this, and he predicted that Peyton would go to the Broncos. And he was right.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that. Yeah.
He thought they'd be successful too. He thought they would find a way through the draft actually to strengthen the team, and I don't see that. Well, they've given up all their top picks there for a while.
They're gonna need to find several diamond in the roughs consistently.
Yeah.
You got to hit. That's basically, you got to hit on all your draft picks.
Yeah.
Because Russell Wilson, is he still the guy? Can Russ still cook? Well, this past season and even the year before, he wasn't really cooking. He was more like burning the food. He wasn't cooking it so well. So I'm still sticking to my guns. I got to see some other proof that Russell Wilson wasn't on this sort of very, I would say, well above average throughout his entire career, and then this isn't all of a sudden a dip now. Because you take a look at it, Russell Wilson, he had a top 3 running game most of his years with Seattle, and he had a top 5 defense most of his years with Seattle. The numbers are somewhere in this pile of former topic scripts that I have here of the show. I couldn't go through it, but you take a look at Russell. We even had a graphic on the show a little while ago. Russell Wilson, is this a dip? And will he rebound from this? Or, as I'm saying, this is a trend. I don't think this is a simple blip in his career where all of a sudden it's a bad point. It's an outlier. I think this is more so, you take a look at it, well, Russell Wilson, he doesn't make great decisions. Play clock is weird. Everything is... And apparently, how everyone was, hating on the time management with Nathaniel Hackett, call a timeout, and you get the play late, you have a delay of game. You get the field goal team out late, and then you get a delayed game penalty, then you have to punt. Supposedly, he would get it out in 20 to 25 seconds, and Russell Wilson would overly explain the play in the huddle. So Russell Wilson would be the reason why they would line up late.
Oh, yeah?
Supposedly to this report, that's what they break it down with. That the play would get out, 20 to 25 seconds left on the play clock. Then he gets up, he gives the play, maybe has trouble saying the full play, and then overly explains the play, tells players, what to exactly do on the play. And they would go out, and all of a sudden, there'd be 3 seconds left, you can't snap the ball, delay a game. So, you take a look at this here, I'm not surprised. I don't know if you're surprised or not, but this is I think this is the real
Russell Wilson. I think has some mileage on him too. It's not like he's a third or fourth year player. He's how many years has he played in the league?
I believe he's
10 years.
I think it's 10 or 11. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's getting up there, and he's taking some hits.
Right.
He's been that mobile type of quarterback. He was running around in the backfield a lot, taking some hits. So, he's got quite a bit of mileage on him. He may be over the hill.
By the way, 11
years.
Yeah.
11 years. So that's a lot.
Yeah. And he did not look good this year whatsoever.
No.
3,500 yards, which was his...
He had the defensive guys were coming up to him and come on, get your act together.
Yeah, the defensive tackle was screaming, like,
Yeah.
let's go. Let's get the offense going. Because the defense was not the problem, anywhere near the problem last year.
That's right. And that's something they got going for them this coming year, right? The defense is pretty good.
Yeah, they had the 7th ranked total defense in the league last year. A top 10 defense. Your offense is ranked 21st. 21st in your offense. Your passing game was ranked 19th.
Yeah.
So Russell Wilson needs to get his act together. He did not look good. But you know what? Like I said, this is not a blip. I'm sticking to my guns. This is a trend. You're going to see, you may see a little bit of an improved Russell Wilson. He'll go from having a 4-11 record to what, 6-10, 6-11? Maybe.
I don't know. They might get to 500. Well, there is
They
no
should.
500. There is no 500 anymore,
so
right?
what?
Because there's 17 games.
9-8, you're
They
saying?
might get to 8-9.
8-9.
8-9, something like that.
Here's the thing. This should have been the division that would be the hardest in the NFL. 2 of the teams were jokes. The Raiders became a joke, and the Broncos were even a bigger joke. It was the Chargers who, people were hating on their coach. Now they're saying Justin Herbert's overrated. And then Mahomes, who people thought would have a dip in his career, now all of a sudden looks like he's the number 1 rated quarterback in the NFL. So this should have been the best division. Now you got Derek Carr, who's gone. You're going to replace him with Jarrett Stidham or another quarterback, maybe in the draft or during free agency. And you got Russell Wilson, who looks like hot trash. And you got to figure out what to do with him with Sean Payton now. You've had 2 head coaches, and now in 2 years with them,
I can't wait for next year.
it's going to be a hell of a season. This offseason, we won't see. I believe we won't see as many pieces moving because we had so many pieces move last offseason. It was a great time to do the show. We had a bunch of news to cover. But we're going to see just how exciting this offseason could be.
Yeah.
Which hopefully it's good. Hopefully it's good. But I believe that does wrap up this episode.
Oh, wait a minute. Well, there's one other big news thing that we haven't talked about.
What's that?
The Red Sox beat Northeastern today.
They beat a college team.
5-3. 5-3. They barely beat them.
Barely beat a college team.
And most of the starters were playing, you said.
They started most of the starters. They had the full lineup and everything. Durant played. The new guy.
2 at bats, 1 at bat.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
They were actually up, I believe, 5-0, and then they scored 3 runs.
Oh, I see.
So who knows what it actually means. But I guess in other news, the Lakers actually beat the Warriors pretty handily last night.
Well, Curry isn't playing.
But the Lakers, like we said, they should make the play-in. They look really good with their new lineup. Very, very good. Without Russell Westbrook, you got D'Angelo Russell, who tweaked he had some sort of injury last night. Yeah. Anthony Davis is looking good. The Lakers could look like a formidable force.
Yeah, well,
Maybe.
LeBron said not making the playoffs is not in his DNA.
He needs to win
His DNA
championships.
is a playoff player.
Yeah,
And,
well, obviously.
Yeah.
So, I mean, LeBron's got to
Has he
go
only
for the
missed the
chips.
playoffs once in his career? Was it last year? Or was he missed it more than once?
I'm actually not too sure
I don't
about
think
that.
he's ever missed the playoffs. I think last year was the first year.
Last year, the Lakers were very, very bad. Let's see.
Yeah.
LeBron James. Let's see how many times he's made the playoffs. He missed it his rookie season
Oh,
and his sophomore season as well.
really?
Yeah, but then everyone besides that, from ages 21 to 30, he also missed it when he was 34 years old, 2018, 2019 with the Lakers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he missed it, 3 times in his career. And he may miss it a 4th, depending on how the Lakers, play the season. Which, you know what? We said this, they should make the play-in. Oh, yeah. Well, sorry. No, he missed it twice with the Lakers.
Yeah.
First season with the Lakers.
And just last year.
And last year. So
Yeah.
he missed it, 4 times?
Yeah,
So
well, that's pretty surprising, actually, that he missed it.
hey,
4
when you
times.
play, what is it? He played, in the 20 seasons, and you only miss it 4 times?
Yeah. Did Michael Jordan ever miss the playoffs? I don't think so.
Ah,
I think he was in there every year.
that would be. Oh no, the last 2 years with the Wizards, he had the same records, like 30.
Oh, well, the Wizards, yeah. When he was with the Bulls, though.
With the Bulls, I don't think he missed a single offseason. Yeah, he didn't miss a single. He didn't miss a single playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. But
Yeah.
early in his career, he couldn't beat the
Celtics.
The Celtics. He couldn't beat the Pistons.
Yeah, the Pistons and the Celtics.
So he had some issues. He definitely had some issues. But he got Pippen. They were able to win 2 3-peats. Went 6-0. Never made it to a game 7 in the finals.
Yeah.
So hey, LeBron's doing some tremendous things at 38, 39 years old.
Well, he's
so.
the top scorer in the history of the league.
Hey, he broke the record.
That's pretty impressive.
Absolutely. And
And he's going to
supposedly-
play a couple more years at least.
He may
He's
play.
like the Tom Brady of basketball,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. But supposedly, well, not supposedly, he may play. He wants to play with Bronny, his first son. He may play long enough to play with his second son too.
Yeah, maybe all three of them will be on the same team.
That would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
You got apparently Bronny is a top 10 prospect right now.
Oh, yeah?
He's number 10 in the draft supposedly. So I don't know. It's very, very interesting. But this will wrap up this episode of the Harvey Hour. We hope you all have a great weekend. We will be back Monday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, for another episode of the Harvey Hour. We will see you then.
Introducing video podcasts on Spotify
Transform your storytelling into a show everyone can watch.
or listen to.
Easily upload your video through Anchor, Spotify's free podcast creation tool.
So whether you're showing off a new recipe
Interviewing an exclusive guest,
or uncovering the next mystery,
you can now reach a whole new audience with Spotify.
podcasting just became more than audio.
Create with Anchor, watch on Spotify.